Hi friends, in this video we are going to cover Kurukshetra magazine of the month of October 2018, and this magazine is based on the theme MSME, that is micro, small and medium enterprises. So this is going to be very much relevant for us for SEBI grade A, RBI grade B and NABARD grade A examinations. So for the purpose of discussion, we have divided this particular month's magazine into two parts, and this is the first part of this magazine. So we are going to discuss lots and lots of things about MSME in this video. So the key focus area of the magazine is MSME, as we have already seen on the previous slide. So the different topics have been discussed in the context of MSMEs in this particular magazine. So you are going to learn a lot about MSMEs, and you are going to be aware about what are the different MSMEs in the country, how they are classified, and what is the role of MSME in different sectors, promoting different things in the Indian economy. So we are going to take a look at all of these aspects in this particular video. If I take a look at the broad themes or broad topics which have been covered in this month's magazine, so these are: first is KVIC. So this one is related to Khadi and how it strengthens the rural economy. The second is MSME as the engines of growth. And the next one is employment generation through the MSMEs. So MSMEs, they are playing a very vital role in employment generation in the country. So we are going to discuss how this role is being played by the MSMEs. Further, we are going to discuss the need and significance for fostering technology and innovation among the MSMEs in the country. And then we are going to discuss how MSMEs can lead to inclusive development in the country and how they will also foster our sustainable development goals agenda. Then we are going to discuss a very important segment of MSME industry, which is coir industry, and India is a very big producer as well as consumer of this coir products. So we are going to discuss about that. We are going to discuss the prospects and the challenges which are being faced by this coir industry. So let's start our discussion with KVIC strengthening the rural economy. So friends, KVIC, this is Khadi and Village Industries Commission, and it is a statutory body. It was set up under a separate act of parliament in 1956, and this act was further amended in 1987 and 2006 to make amends in the organization. And this is a statutory organization under the Ministry of MSME. So this is something we have to remember, that this KVIC is a statutory organization among the Ministry of MSME, and the basic purpose of setting this particular organization is to promote and develop khadi and village industries in the country, so that we can provide employment opportunities in the rural areas, because most of the people in rural areas, they can indulge in local level village industries or khadi industries. So this ultimately is going to strengthen the entire rural economy. So this is our focus. So if we take a look at the broad highlights of this KVIC, then this has been identified as one of the major organizations for generating non-farm employment opportunities in the rural areas, and for generating employment. This is in this segment, this Khadi and village industries segment, very low per capita investment is desired. So you just need to make a very nominal amount of investment, and you can generate employment for lots of people through setting up of khadi and village industries in the non-farm employment sector. Further, KVIC undertakes different sets of activities like skill improvement with regard to khadi and village industries, transfer of technology to improve these industries, research and development in the related areas, and even it provides the marketing support for khadi and village industries. So this ultimately helps in generating employment as well as self-employment opportunities in the rural areas in these segments. Further, KVIC is also charged with planning, promotion, organization and implementation of the different programs which are there for development of khadi and other village industries in the rural areas. So the focus is on khadi and village industries in the rural areas, and this is to be achieved by coordinating with other agencies which are promoting the rural development. Now further, to ensure that no fake products they are being sold in the name of khadi, we have to maintain the sanctity of the khadi. On 22nd July 2013, Khadi Mark Regulations 2013 was introduced to help screen the products to check their genuineness. So these regulations, they required the institutions or people who are selling khadi products that they should bear this particular mark, which is khadi mark tag and labels. And again, these marks, they are going to be issued by KVIC. So this is about the important role played by the KVIC in the rural economy. So in this way, we can say that khadi is a silent transformational force for a aspirational India. And in this particular field, KVIC has chalked out ambitious plans to double the sales of khadi to rupees 5,000 crores in the next 2 financial years. So this is a very ambitious plan. We have to double the sales of khadi. And for this purpose, KVIC has also made important plans, and it plans to open khadi outlets to promote the products in the global markets. So we have to promote in domestic markets as well as global markets. And KVIC has also signed an MOU with NIFT, which is the National Institute for Fashion Technology. So this MOU has been signed for better design development and training at different khadi institutes. And the slogan which is being given here is Khadi for Nation to Khadi for Fashion. So for aspirational India, khadi has emerged as a transformational force. And as we've already seen, it is a very major job creator in Bharat, that is rural India. So khadi is very much important for the India's rural economy. And this low profile hand spun cloth, this is khadi, it has seen its demand grow among the common people and the corporate world. And suddenly we have seen a rise in the sales growth of khadi. So this is something which is very important. And the average growth of production in the khadi sector, which was only 6.24% in 2004 to 2014, it has risen to 26.43% in 2015 to 2017. So this is again something which is encouraging for the khadi sector, that the production, the sales, the demand, it is on the rise. And more so, this is the only sector in the Indian economy which registered a double-digit growth in the last 3 years. So this is about the important role played by khadi. Now, if I talk about some other very important points, in the fiscal 2017-18, the sale of khadi has grown to rupees 2,509 crores. So this is 25% up if we compare it to the 2016-17 levels. Further, KVIC has also derived a new concept of khadi kroners. So this is a new concept where space from large retail houses was taken on shop and shop basis in the mega malls and other such up markets. So khadi houses, khadi retail segments, they are going to be set up in mega malls and other up markets, other posh markets. Further, KVIC has also drafted a program named Mini Honey Mission, and it was launched in July 2017 with a very nominal budgetary arrangement of rupees 6 crore. And under this particular mission, KVIC has distributed approximately 29,000 bee boxes across the nation among the farmers. So this is again which is going to promote village industries in the country. And again, this is something which you should remember, that this mini honey mission, it was launched in 2017 by none other than KVIC. Further, so this is very interesting that for the very first time, khadi became the theme line of the National Day celebration of any foreign country. And this foreign country was Montenegro. So this khadi was the theme line of Montenegro's National Day, which was witnessed by more than 50 diplomats. So again, this is something which is putting khadi on the world map, which is very important for promoting exports and sales of khadi products across the world. Now let's move to our next area of discussion, which is boosting India's economy through the MSMEs, that is micro, small and medium enterprises. So MSMEs, they are a very important segment of the Indian industrial scenario, and they account for more than 80% of the total industrial enterprises in India, thus creating more than 8,000 value added products. So this is a very huge number. This is a very big number. And further, the Government of India has enacted Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act of 2006. So this is a statutory framework which has been introduced with regard to promotion of MSME segment in the country. And under this particular act, MSMEs, they are defined separately in the manufacturing sector and service sector. So if you talk about MSMEs in the manufacturing sector, so let's take a look at the limits which have been specified for classifying an industry as a MSME if it is working in the manufacturing sector. So this limit, it is basically based on the investment which has been made in the plant and machinery. So an industry is going to be classified as a micro enterprise if this investment in plant and machinery does not exceed rupees 25 lakhs. And if it exceeds 25 lakh but it does not exceed rupees 5 crore, the industry is going to come under the next category, which is small enterprise or small industry. Further, if this investment in plant and machinery, it exceeds rupees 5 crores but it does not exceed rupees 10 crore, then this industry is going to be known as medium enterprise in the manufacturing segment. So this was the classification in the manufacturing sector, in which the limits in investment in plant and machinery, they were on the higher side. Now let's take a look at the MSME's classification in the services sector, and here you will find that limits, they are on the lower side. So in the services sector, a micro enterprise is an enterprise where the investment in equipment does not exceed rupees 10 lakh. So here it is just 10 lakh. And for classification as a small enterprise, the investment is more than rupees 10 lakh. It is more than 10 lakh, but it is not more than 2 crore. So less than 10 lakh micro, 10 lakh to 2 crore small enterprise. Further, if it is more than 2 crore but it does not exceed rupees 5 crore, then the industry is going to be classified as medium enterprise. So this is the classification which is prevalent in the services sector. So we have just seen how the classification is made differently for the manufacturing and the service segment based on the investment which they have made in the equipment or the plant and machinery. Now further, this section 7 of the MSME, that is Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act of 2006, it is being amended. So this act, this section, it basically provides for the classification criteria. Now this is being amended, and now the new definitions, they are going to be based basically on the terms of annual turnover. So this is being amended to define the units which produce goods or they are rendering services in terms of annual turnover. So as per the new definitions which will be there in the amended section, a micro enterprise will be defined as a unit where the annual turnover or the annual sales or receipts does not exceed 5 crore rupees. So this classification is basically based on this annual turnover, and for a micro, it should not exceed 5 crore. For a small enterprise, it should not exceed rupees 75 crore, and for a medium enterprise, it should not exceed rupees 250 crores. So this is going to be common limits for both manufacturing as well as services segment. Additionally, the central government, it may vary these turnover limits, but it shall not exceed thrice the limits which have been specified in this particular section. So we must know that these definitions, they are being amended, and now the new definitions are going to be based on annual turnover. Now, if we take a look at some of the very important or key facts about MSMEs, then the MSMEs, they occupy strategic importance in the country, and this is in terms of the output, exports and employment share they are having in the Indian economy. MSMEs, they are producing 45% of the manufacturing output, and they are contributing 40% of the total exports of the country. Further, about 80 million persons, they are engaged in over 29 million units in the MSME segment throughout the country. So they are basically influencing our economy on a larger scale on different footings. Further, urban areas accounted for 54.77% of the total working enterprises in the MSME sector, whereas around 7,07,000 enterprises, that is around 45% of the enterprises, they are located in the rural areas. So we must know that more enterprises in MSME segment, they are in the urban areas and less are in the rural areas. Further, the contribution of manufacturing MSMEs in the country's manufacturing gross value of the output. So if we look at the gross value of the output, then this has remained at about 33% during the last 5 years. So in value terms, in quantity terms, in total exports term, in employment terms, all of these, they are very impressive figures. Further, as per the National Sample Survey 73rd around 2015-16, this sector comprises of around 63.88 lakh units, and it has created 11 crore 10 lakh jobs in the Indian economy. So this is again a very impressive number. Now let's also take a look at some of the initiatives which have been taken by the government for promotion of MSMEs. So these initiatives, they are sprinkled in different units which have been discussed in this month's magazine. So we are going to discuss all these initiatives simultaneously in the different topics. So you should not worry if any initiative is being repeated. It will rather help you revise concepts and understand these initiatives and concepts in a better way. So first is scheme of fund for upgradation and regeneration of traditional industries, and it is Safurti. So this is basically a cluster development scheme in which we are going to develop the clusters of these village or traditional industries, and this is being implemented by the government aiming at organization of traditional industries and artisans into clusters. So we are going to organize the traditional industries and small artisans into clusters so that they can work together and they can become more competitive and they can sustain themselves in the long run. Further, another very important initiative is initiation of Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum. Now this is one of the best schemes of MSME development which has been launched by Government of India, and in this particular scheme Aadhaar card is also a mandatory requirement. Another important scheme is zero defect, zero effect. So this is another very important scheme that is prepared for development of this sector. So the focus is on manufacturing the goods for exports which are quality goods, which are free of defects and which should not be having any negative impact on the environment as well, in order to promote exports from the MSME segment in the country. Now let's talk about the next important initiative, which is Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program. So this particular program, it seeks to generate employment opportunities in rural as well as urban areas of the country, and these employment opportunities, they are going to be generated by promoting setting up of new self-employment ventures, projects or micro enterprises. Further, this scheme is being implemented by Khadi and Village Industries Commission, that is KVIC, which we have just learnt previously also. So this KVIC, it functions as the nodal agency of this particular program at the national level. Now, recently this Prime Minister Employment Generation Program has been made online from 1st of July 2016, and whatever subsidies they are to be transferred, they are being transferred directly under the direct benefit transfer scheme into the bank account of the beneficiaries under this particular program. Now let's also take a look at the Ministry of MSME, which is the apex body for formulation and administration of rules, regulations, laws pertaining to the micro, small and medium enterprises in India. Now the role of this ministry and its different organizations which are there within this ministry is to assist the states. So primary responsibilities of the states, and this ministry is assisting the states in their efforts to encourage entrepreneurship, employment and livelihood opportunities so that the competitiveness of the MSMEs in the country, it can be enhanced. Further, this Ministry of MSME is having two divisions. One is Small and Medium Enterprises division and another one is Agro and Rural Industries division. So these divisions, they are separately focusing upon their respective areas for the development of small industries in the country. Now, if we take a look at some of the important IT initiatives of this ministry, so these initiatives, they are, first is MSME Samadhan. Now this MSME Samadhan is basically a portal which is going to empower the micro and small entrepreneurs across the country that they can directly register their cases relating to delayed payments by the central ministries, departments, central public sector enterprises or the state governments. So if these micro and small entrepreneurs, they are supplying anything to the government and they are not getting the payments for them timely, then this can be reported on this particular portal, and this portal will give all the information about the pending payments of MSMEs with individual public sector enterprises, central ministries or the state governments. So this is basically to ensure a swift payment to the MSME sector from the government or government entities. Next is MSME Sambandh. Now this MSME Sambandh portal, it will help in monitoring the implementation of the public procurement from micro and small enterprises. So this is basically initiative of the government in which some of the total production or some of the total produce has to be procured from the MSMEs compulsorily by the central public sector enterprises, and this particular portal, it basically seeks to monitor the implementation of that. So using this online portal, the ministries and the enterprises in the public sector, they can assess their performance on this front. Further, My MSME mobile app has been launched, and it provides information on all the different schemes which are being implemented by the Ministry of MSME at just one place. Further, there is this Udyog Aadhaar memorandum. Now this is a single one-page registration form, and this basically works as a self-declaration format under which the MSME, they will self-certify its existence, bank account detail, promoter or owner's Aadhaar details, and other minimum information which is required. So through this memorandum, they can simply furnish all the information themselves, and they can obtain the registration under the Udyog Aadhaar. Now if we take a look at some of the other initiatives, then MSME Credit Space Portal. So this portal has been set up, and this is going to enable in principal approval for MSME loans up to rupees 1 crore within just 59 minutes from CDB and 5 public sector banks. So this is basically going to enhance the availability of credit for the MSME sector, and that too at a very fast pace. So this is basically a strategic initiative of SIDB, that is Small Industries Development Bank of India led public sector bank consortium, which incubated under the aegis of Department of Financial Services under the Ministry of Finance. Now next, there is entrepreneurship development programs which are being run and organized on regular basis by a number of organizations. For example, there are different entrepreneurship development institutions. There is this MSME development institutes earlier, which were known as Small Industries Service Institutes, and different banks and other training agencies in the private and public sector. They are working on entrepreneurship development programs. So they are boosting self-employment through MSMEs. Further, district level incubation and acceleration program, this is being set up to help in generation of new ideas and promoting entrepreneurship for the promotion of MSME segment with all the necessary support which is required from the administrative side. Now, the government is not just focusing on the overall development of the MSMEs. The government is also aware that many of the women, they are also part of the MSME segment, and several of the schemes of the government, they have a specific focus on the women component. So let's take a look at those schemes. So first is trade related entrepreneurship assistance and development scheme for women, which is TREAD scheme. So with a view to encourage women that they set up their own venture, the government is implementing this scheme during the 11th 5-year plan. So this scheme, it basically envisages economic empowerment of women by developing their entrepreneurial skills in non-farm activities. Next is Micro and Small Enterprises Cluster Development Program, or MEC CDP. So this cluster development program, it envisages diagnostic study of different clusters of traditional skill-based MSMEs to identify the appropriate technologies which can be used to facilitate the adoption of available technology. And this scheme, it also again focuses on women, and it provides assistance for capacity building, common facilities, marketing, etc. for the micro and small enterprises through the cluster approach. Next is exhibitions for women under promotional package for micro and small enterprises. So this scheme has been formulated for women entrepreneurs to encourage small and micro manufacturing units which are owned by women and they are registered with the government, that they can tap the overseas market. So exports can be promoted, and further to increase the participation of representatives of these enterprises under the MSME stall at the international trade fair which is held. So this initiative is basically focuses on these, that MSMEs, especially those owned by the women, they come up, they exhibit their products, and they promote their exports at the global level. Now another scheme is Credit Guarantee Fund Scheme for micro and small enterprises. Now this scheme, it was launched in August 2000 to ensure a better flow of credit to micro and small enterprises. And this credit flow, it has to be ensured by minimizing the risk perception of the financial institution and banks in lending without the collateral security. So basically we have to ensure that MSMEs, they get the required credit without any hassles. So under this scheme, guarantee cover is provided to collateral free credit facility. So no guarantee is required to the new as well as existing micro and small enterprises for loans up to rupees 50 lakhs. Another is support for entrepreneurial and managerial development. So this particular programs, these particular different sets of programs, they are being organized to train the potential entrepreneurs that they can improve their requisite skills, that so that they can start these micro and small enterprises in various fields. And many of these programs which are being run by the Ministry of MSME and its different organizations, they have their focus or they have their target on the SCs, STs, OBC, women, minorities, and other backward or weaker sections. And some of these, they are exclusively for the women. So these programs, they are basically also referred to as outreach programs, as they are conducted in a rural or less developed areas, so that we can develop entrepreneurial and managerial skills in those areas, so that more MSMEs can also be set up in those areas. Now let's take a look at sustainable development goals and MSMEs. Now if MSMEs, they are a success, they have the potential for wide reaching impacts even on the sustainable development goals, and that too at the global level. So they can help in attaining of the certain sustainable development goals, like sustainable development goal 1, which is to end poverty, goal 2, which is to aim for zero hunger, goal 3, which is promoting good health and well-being, goal 5, which is general equality, goal 8, which is to promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, employment and decent work, goal 9, which is to improve sustainable industrialization and fostering innovation. So this is basically about the sustainable development goals and how they are to be attained. Now let's also briefly take a look at the success stories of different women entrepreneurs which have been discussed in this month's magazine, that how some of the women entrepreneurs in the MSME segment, they have been very successful across the country. So first is Shri Mahila Griha Udyog Lijjat Papad, which is popularly a Indian women's cooperative which is manufacturing fast moving consumer goods. So this has been one of the successful women cooperative. Then is Mulukkunur Women's Cooperative Dairy, which is a country's maiden dairy set up and run by the women. So this has been registering a steady growth since its inception. So this is something which again shows the women entrepreneurial spirit. Next is Self-Employed Women's Association or SEWA. So this one is successful, and it has made different efforts to mobilize a large number of poor self-employed women for empowerment. So it made very small beginnings in 1972, and now many of the women, they have come under its ambit and they are becoming successful entrepreneurs through this initiative or association. Now even the administrative efforts like Gram Panchayats which are working at the grassroots level, they are also taking different steps to further the empowerment of women so that they can be successful in becoming a entrepreneur. So if you talk about the situation of local government in the country, there are around 2,48,160 Gram Panchayats, over 6,000 block panchayats, and around 595 district panchayats in the country. So this is basically the world's largest democratic system, which is in the form of India's Panchayati Raj system, and a whooping number of elected women panchayat representatives are there in these Gram Panchayats, and even mandatory reservation provision is being made for women, SCs, STs and other backward classes in these panchayats. So again, women are made a part of these panchayats, these grassroots decision making institutions. So this is further empowering the women that they take up different opportunities and they set up their own MSMEs. So for empowering the women, there are different schemes also which are being made with specific focus on the gram panchayats, because women which are part of these gram panchayats, they can be made part of the mainstream development. So the schemes, they are being formulated under the gram panchayat development plan so that we can bring economic and social prosperity to the villages. Further, in order to implement the Gram Panchayat Development Plan effectively, the central government has also launched Sabki Yojana Sabki Vikas campaign. So this is a very recent campaign and very important for examination, as it was very recently launched on 2nd October 2018. Further, on the occasion of National Panchayati Raj Day, which is observed on April 24, 2018. So again, a very important fact. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi launched a reconstituted Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan Yojana. So this was launched in Mandla, Madhya Pradesh to strengthen the Panchayati Raj systems in the country and to eliminate the hurdles and problems which are in its roads to success. So guys, this was all about our discussion on the first part of the Kurukshetra magazine of the month of October 2018. Thank you.